figure the rest out. Good morning, and welcome to your business and digital. How are you this morning, Michael?
I am good. How are you this morning? Good morning. Good morning. I can't believe it's already nearly the end of April. Oh, my word.
I know, right? We are here. It is almost the end of April, but I am super excited about today's show. So let's get the party started. Let's kick
Let's
it
do it.
off. So, Michael, last week was interesting, right? We had a guest, an amazing small business. Amy was with us. Amy Fazio was with us last week. And I mean, it was just really good to get the voice of the customer, to get the voice of the small business here and really understand how they're thinking about digital. I mean, she she said so many
She
things
sounded like a marketer, right?
that
Like that's
right?
just what it was, right?
She has a lead generation process that's working. We talked about that, the quiz. You worked with her to get the quiz up and running. She has a lead nurturing process that she's going through right now, and developing and working through the personas through that process. And she has a system that works for her, so it allows her to kind of focus on her work, right? So it's been saving her time, which we love as well too. So I think it was such a good show. It was such a good show. It was such a good show. I was just like, wow, we absolutely need to bring on more businesses so that I think people can really hear, hey, I'm not doing this by myself, right?
Correct, correct. And that there's worth to what we're doing, right? It's something that's going to have results. It's going to drive revenue for your business. That's why we're here. And Amy just brought a lot of points home that we're talking when we're talking about lead generation and lead nurturing and how digital just assists that process overall. So great having her last week for sure.
No, 100%. I think it was awesome, and I can't wait to have her back. If you guys did not get to check out the episode, definitely check out the episode from last week. It was really awesome. I think you will love listening to Amy, and it'll give you, really good perspective on some of the things you should be thinking about, right? And that's what we're doing here at Your Business in Digital. Our goal is to really help you translate exactly what you're doing offline, online, right? We want to help you think about what are the metrics, what are the KPIs, ha ha ha, hint, hint, hint. We want to help you think through all the all the things that really get you to that place of achieving your business goals. So that's what's really important when we think about business, when we think about your business in digital. We don't want you to just think about the likes and follows, right? We want you to move beyond that to see how you get to that money in the bank, because that's what's really important in this process. So, all right. So we got a few things that I like to do early in
Yep,
the
let's get good.
all right. So the first thing we want you to do is connect with us. We want you to connect with us everywhere. Okay. We want you to connect with us on YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, set your notifications, watch the show on YouTube. If not, check us out on LinkedIn. We are on LinkedIn at Your Business in Digital. Check out the page. We're Your Business in Digital everywhere. Check us out on Spotify. If you're listening to podcasts and you prefer a podcast format, check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple. Check us out on Amazon. Check us out on Google. Check us out everywhere, so we can so you can just start to again really understand some of those things that we're talking through, and you'll get to listen to that Amy episode, which was the most recent episode, which has been actually doing pretty well. So there is that. So definitely follow us, check us out, tell people about us, tell other small businesses. I think that's important, right? Tell other small businesses about what you're hearing on this show, about the benefit of this show. Tell medium businesses about it, because we help them all. And I know this is a great way for CEOs, CMOs, CFOs to kind of wrap their minds around digital, right? Because sometimes it's not so cut and dry. So I think our show gives a really great foundation for that. So love that. All right. So the next thing we need you to do is to definitely take the quiz. Okay. So we want you to take the quiz. It's so important that you take the quiz. Why do we want you to take the quiz? We want you to take the quiz because this helps you to measure the effectiveness of your online presence, right? We want to make sure that you understand where you are. Do you have a strong online presence and are you killing it? Are you achieving your business goals? Maybe it's time for you to move to something a little bit, some more testing, some new areas, more optimization. If you have a weak online presence, here's an opportunity for you to understand exactly where you are and then set a plan to move forward so that you do get to a place of having a strong online presence that helps you to achieve your business goals. And if you have a medium online presence, it means that there's room for growth. And that'll give you a plan of all the things that you need to do. So take this quiz. Once you start answering these questions, you'll really start feeling like, wait a second, am I checking into this? Am I checking into this? And as a business owner, CFO, CMO, you want to make sure that you understand these things because you are spending money on that digital presence. So you want to make sure that you're seeing the ROI. Take this quiz, take this quiz, take this quiz. I cannot say it enough. And guess who is here this morning? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy crazy Monday morning. I am here.
I'm so glad you made it. It was crazy getting in.
It was nuts. It was nuts. I'm like, so this is going to be a mad Monday after all. So
right. So, okay, truth be told, we have to spill the beans. Michelle and I saw each other this weekend.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to put it out there. I was waiting to see.
We saw each other on Friday. And we saw each other on Saturday morning.
We had to split out the Friday fun on Saturday.
Fun. And then Saturday we worked out together. Let's just say the room was at 95 degrees and we suffered for our sins on Friday.
But it was great. We hadn't seen each other in person in over a year or so. So it was really nice to spend that time with it. But yeah, Friday was lots of fun, and Saturday we paid for it. So.
We paid the piper, but hey, sometimes that's the cost of fun.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
We did business on Friday and Saturday, so it worked out perfect.
Right, because in between,
I'm just not buying it at this point. But Michelle, good try.
And for a new fancy drink, and
we did. We went to a local fair. We connected with a bunch of people on media. Pushed the podcast forward on both Friday and on Saturday. We planned for our future endeavors. We did a lot in between, a little, social time. Look, Michael, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm going to check social media and see what social media is saying.
Hey.
What happens in Orlando stays in Orlando.
100%. But no, it was definitely good to see you. I'm always excited when we get to do things like that, when we get to connect, because I think it really helps us to, again, those creative juices. So I can't wait till we get the four of us together. Andrea, we miss you. Andrea is dealing with a death in the family right now. So our condolences to you. We're thinking of you. We miss you a lot. I can't wait till you are back on the show. All right. So guys, it is time for us to move on along, and we are moving on to our hot topics section this morning. So our hot topics, what are we talking about this morning, Michael?
Oh, your favorite, Twitter.
I knew it. I knew it.
Can you make a process any more difficult? So, and this is coming to the end of the week. So everyone, this is, dated April 21st. It's on social media today that all advertisers now have to pay for verification in order to run ads in the app. So that's taken away a bit of choice, right? It's no longer incentive to advertise, it's pay to play. So they've done that. But what's interesting, I'm going to dissect this a little bit because there's some ins and outs here that are happening. So this email went out at the end of last week, all advertisers, just to remind everybody, Twitter that blue check mark. You're going to pay $8 a month as a business or $1,000 a month as an organization, right? But this whole process has been convoluted from start, and it can't seem to get any better as it goes forward. So now what's happening is that even though you're paying that $8 a month, there isn't really a verification process. So that means that for smaller brands, and I'm getting to some juicy stuff here. So for smaller brands, impersonation is obviously something you have to be wary of. You've got to make sure that your brand is not being impersonated, that somebody hasn't registered that blue check mark under your brand name. So Elon is basically forcing us down this road of, if you want to advertise, you've got to play. But what's happening is that this blue check mark has gotten caught up in the celebrity status. So we're talking about a platform that its content is driven by its consumers at the same time. So what happens when those same consumers, those same content producers, the celebrities and whatnot, say, no more, or I don't want it? And it's gotten even more confusing where they've taken it off and now they've put it back as of today. They've put back check marks. So people have lost it. It's gone back. And in it going back, it's now saying that that's pretty much a verification that I bought into Twitter Blue, which I may not want. So it's a bit of a legality there. So it's a real storm over at Twitter. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this. What's Twitter doing for your small business? Is it helping drive that revenue forward? And the interesting thing about all of this is that the ad revenue on Twitter is driven mainly by SMBs. Only 13% of the ad revenue is coming from the top 50 spenders. The rest is made up of SMBs. So again, know your customer, know your audience. I think this is a business lesson that's going to live on in digital for a little while to come. But Tamara, I don't know what you think. I think we talked about it before. I think the $8 a month, I've come around and understand that, for a business perspective, to put out that money shouldn't be an issue if you're advertising on the platform. But with all of these other things happening on the platform, I would say I don't think the platform is going anywhere, right? But where is your space in this now? And what is the perception now by the average Twitter user of your brand having a blue check mark?
I'm so glad.
Good morning. Good morning.
Actually, I'm not glad that we don't curse on this show because I'm like, explicit.
Could a process be any more confusing?
Oh my God. It's so crazy, right? So not only that, I don't know if it's so funny, right? The hot topics. This morning, I was kind of reading an article where Microsoft has now, they have an add-on that they allow people to third party, their folks that work with them to, API out to these social media presences and run their ads through that, look at the data, all that good stuff. And they're no longer doing that. They're just like, yep, you know what I'm saying? We're not connecting to Twitter because it's and so your guy, Elon, is threatening to sue them on top of it. So, I mean, I think we have to backtrack on what we said initially, right? We were like, hey, if verification gets you to a place of visibility, the right visibility, people, the business, your customer knows who you are, you're verified, it's a little bit more official. If there's a true process in place, if there's no process and Elon is just freestyling, because that's what it seems like at this point. I mean, he's just freestyling.
And you're not acknowledging those users that have gotten your platform where it is, right? So that
100%.
I've done the work, I have my blue check mark, and then you're going to take it away and I have to pay for it now.
Well, I understand the payment process, right? Because I think that's what we're moving to with social media. I understand that, but put the right process in place. And I think he's just showing his inconsistencies across the board, right? I get it, genius, blah, blah, blah. But, it's there's a lot of inconsistencies with Twitter. And if I have my business there, that's a problem. I cannot, he's very emotional and he reacts and it all shows up. So I can't have my business there. You know what I mean? That's just
After that, there's a hashtag block the blue movement happening. That's a little cherry on top. I wanted to there was so much to tease out of this article. So there's now even a hashtag block the blue.
I'm going to drink my coffee a little bit more on this one and, talk about Lanyap for a second. Because look, one of the things I found really interesting about it too, Tamara, I'm on the fence like you are with this, is that he also, when he came back, was very particular about who he wanted to give the blue check to. It was for if he had over 1 million followers. So it wasn't his thing initially of the check was just I don't want to say arbitrary, but it was part of a club, that's how the blue check came through and he was all against it. And then it's all about the money, which is what was driving this, because they lost a lot of the major advertisers, which is one of the reasons why the percentage of SMBs is so high, because the big major advertisers pulled out when Elon came in. So yes, that's who's there and that's who's making him survive, and he's killing, them as well. He's making them wonder about whether or not they should be in that space because of exactly what you said, Michael, and what you said, Tamara. Is it good for your business to be there, even if your people they're pulling out and hashtag block the blue? It's problematic right now for you to be there. And can your small business afford that negativity? Is it worthy of you being there and dealing with that negativity, or do you need to sit back and watch the landscape for a moment and re-educate yourself on the new wave of what's there, and decide whether or not you need to keep your business there? But it also goes back to something that we've said for the last 2 years, is be agnostic. Have your business there, but also find a way to build other streams of revenue for your business. Same thing for TikTok. Or is your entire business built upon a TikTok or a Twitter? And yes, many a small business has gained visibility because of it, but we've also said, take that business and then begin to own your relationship with your client so that you can move and keep your business thriving and viable. And this is a prime example of why that's so important. Own your business, own your name, own other streams of viability into your business, because this is crazy. This volatility here is a killer for small businesses. And you're right, that hashtag, I can't tell you how many times when I was on the plane coming home, reviewing my Twitter feed, and many of them were saying, yeah, no, I didn't pay for that. I don't care what Elon says. I did not pay for the blue check and I don't want it. And also, I figured out how to get rid of it. That was the funniest thing to me, is they were like, oh no, I don't want your blue check. And here's how to get rid of it with instructions in the body of their tweet. So this is just a hot mess.
And this is all on top of an ad platform, which many are reporting to have a lot of issues. So even the advertising, when you are paying for it, it may not work in the way you think it's going to work. Just to put that last little bit on the top.
That would hurt, because it's hard to one, come by your ad money to begin with, and longevity and awaiting that ROI can be difficult. And we often talk to our clients, and that it is it's not, don't look for a quick fix. It's not an immediate return on investment. You need to allow it to grow and to move forward, and to have the service component of what you're paying for not work as well. That is going to hurt. That's just an additional pain and another X. So we had 3 yet? Or did we strike out just yet? Because
we're still on the fence. We're still on the fence, because as you said, it's the difference between, is Elon, going back to that question, is Elon the brand now for Twitter, right? Or are we seeing just
right,
that problem with the brand, with Twitter the brand, but within Twitter it's still performing as Twitter performs? But they're also saying, there's debates. Is hate speech on the rise on the platform, or is it on decreasing? Twitter is saying, of course, it's going down. Other agencies are saying, no, it's going up. So it's really an embroiled space right now, that's for sure.
Well,
but
Michael, what's interesting about this is it's more than just an $8 consideration, though. And that's where the change comes. Before, it was an $8 and there's nowhere but up for you, because of the all of the things that were involved in it. But as we've progressed through this volatile, it's more than a PR nightmare at this point. What we're finding is that your costs are increasing to be in this space. It's not just the $8, it's also the investment of you doing the homework on how, keeping up with what's going on there too. Is your community saying it's bad for you? And then that's exponentially increasing the cost to you. So it's not just $8 anymore, and then I have an out clause that I can get out of really quickly. It is what my business now being negatively impacted, because then that word of mouth is, yeah, don't deal with Lanyap because they've got a blue check in there on the Bird app, and I don't want my business to be affiliated with the Bird app. So exponentially, that moment will go farther and viral faster than you paying that $8 and sitting back and watching that happen. So it's a bigger cost that you have to analyze at this point.
All right, let's move on. Elon is good at blowing stuff up, right?
Indeed.
I mean, let's see what happens on Twitter when he wakes up tomorrow.
We'll have an update by Wednesday.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, if it could be any more personal.
Right.
In Trinidad, we say when somebody totes, he's the epitome of a toter. Carries, he just carries, like he's Elon.
But it's interesting. It'll probably, the last bit I'll put in on it, it'll probably set the stage as a use case for this payment for blue check marks on any platform. 100%. I think the whole blue check mark thing has been up and down on every platform, with users not sure how you get it, how you lose it, etc. So I think he's just pushing the gauntlet on the widest scale, that when it's done, it's done. We'll all have a working model of what to do right.
Right.
I mean, I get it, right? But I think other brands are doing it as well too. So he's not the only one. And what we're seeing is, with him, it's always the first what not to do, right? So we have given this man enough airplay on this show. And
agreed.
What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today?
Where's our segment?
Oh, right. What are we talking about today? You got me, super excited about it. So we're in our segment, Go Beyond the Likes. We are so freestyling today. All right. So Go Beyond the Likes. This is our segment where we really talk to you about the things that really start to matter in your digital strategy, and understanding a lot more about how to get past those likes and follows to that place of money in the bank, right? So these are where the strategies come into play. So today we are talking about, and you saw it before, we're talking about measuring online success, essential metrics and KPIs for small business digital marketing. Wow, that is a mouthful. But we're talking about KPIs and we're talking about metrics, right? That's what we're talking about today. And it's such an important conversation. It's one of those things that businesses sometimes they struggle with it, right? They understand getting to those initial likes, getting to those initial follows, but KPIs metrics become really not difficult. It's convoluted, right? It's digital metrics have been, there's an enigma behind it, right? People are like, what is it? What is it? And what does it mean? So let's jump in and talk a little bit about KPIs, what they are. And here we go. Now, guys, I just want to let you know the analytics is where I live. This is my home. So we're gonna do this. So why are KPIs important? And let's just start off with what are KPIs and what does this acronym stand for? Because there are a lot of acronyms in digital. So key performance indicators, and they're really important for helping you to evaluate your strategy, right? You really want to use them to determine the effectiveness of your campaigns, any of those marketing activities that you're doing. That's how you want to determine if it's working or if it's not. You want to use those to determine if you're reaching your business goals. So they allow us to really track to our goals in real time. Right? By looking at the right metrics, you can identify the areas where you need to make improvements, adjust strategies. And KPIs really help you to allocate your resources effectively, because by focusing on what's working in your business and what matters most, that's where you get to ensure that you're putting in that time and effort and leveraging those KPIs in order to do that. So they're really important for your business, and you should have some KPIs. As soon as you start measuring, doing digital, you should be looking at KPIs. What are the KPIs, key performance indicators, that get me to the point of my goal? So in digital, as a business owner, as a CMO, as a CEO, CFO, whatever you are, you want to understand those KPIs that are relevant to getting you to those business goals. All right, guys, that's my first one. What you got?
it all starts with the numbers for us. We've spoken about this often. You have to understand where your base level and where you're starting from and where you're trying to get to. So we need to have that point of measure I call to keep us centered, to make sure that we remain on track, and it's your start and your finish line. Or the finish line can be moved, when we talked about that several times, but at least where you've come from, so that you can look in the rearview mirror and say, oh, look at how far I've come, but am I still on the right track? So I think those KPIs are very important to keep me centered and keep me on track and have me, with my eyes on the prize.
Exactly. I won't add too much because I think Michelle said it all there, but KPI is exactly that. It's that measurement toward that target. It's making sure that the things that need to happen to achieve a goal are happening.
Perfect. All right. So now here's another question. What is the difference between metrics and KPIs, right? Because we kind of use them, interchangeably, right? We say metrics, we say KPIs. They're not the same thing, but maybe a subset. I don't know if you remember math class with subsets, the circles. I love to talk about subsets. I don't know why. I am not a mathematician, but for some strange reason, those are the things that come back to me. So metrics are the way that you measure the data to help you understand how the business is performing, right? And then the KPIs are specific metrics that tie you back directly to the business goals. So you can kind of see how that subset happens there. So one way to think about the difference between metrics and KPIs is that metrics provide you with data points, while KPIs provide you with actionable insights. So there are some differences, but we definitely use them. We interchange them all the time. And I think we need to do better at not doing that so much, and kind of really making sure that we are, as we are on the show, especially, that we're talking about it in a way that really helps to break it down for the business owner. So Michelle and Michael, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you made a very good distinction here. It had me thinking for a minute, like, wow, yes, you're right, metrics and KPI. Because as you said, I could be looking at the wrong metrics that don't impact that are not my KPIs, right? So it's really important to understand that, and there are so many metrics, so many points of measurement, talking about, the time on site, number of visitors, etc. Those are all just metrics. And then KPIs now is what's going to track me toward that goal. So I'm glad you made that distinction.
It is for the directionally challenged here, me. Oh, hello, Andrea.
Good morning, Andrea. The metric is the tool that you use.
It is. I think of the things that, like you said, am I on the right track? And what's that thing that lets me know that I'm on the right track? And I think of when I'm the directionally challenged person that I am, when I'm on the road, when I see this, I know turn right, or and to me, that helps me to understand the difference. It's not, go, 7 more miles or 8 kilometers or whatever version that we're using. It's when I see that gas station on the right side, that's, whatever. So to me, I always look for something relational that people can understand in their daily lives. As they get confused and think this is so complicated, it's a foreign language. Really, it's not. Here's your translation table. Here's what this means for you, to make it simpler for you to understand. These are your differences here. So I think you're right. We need to really understand where we're going and what these, give the definition of things so that people can understand that, no, there are different things. Here's the difference between the KPI and the metric, and this is what it means in your daily life, so you can translate it over. But yes, Andrea, you're right.
Right. And the KPI I'm saying is the goal to work towards. So Andrea, so glad that you are in the chat with us. We love that. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right. So how to choose the right KPIs to stay on track. Now, this is really an important one as a business owner, as a CEO, as a CMO, as a CFO. You want to understand the right metrics, or the right, I did that, the right KPIs to track, right? When it comes to really understanding those KPIs, the first step is understanding your goals. Everything starts with your goal. You can't do anything in marketing with the business if you don't understand your goal. What do you want to achieve? Is there a specific revenue target, or maybe you want to increase your website traffic, right? Once you have a clear idea of what it is you want to accomplish, then you can really start looking at those KPIs that help you reach to those goals. So for instance, if you want to get to a space of, I want to hit $10,000 in revenue every month, then you need to kind of track those KPIs that get you to that place. Maybe you're running ads. So if you're running ads, you want to start looking at things like the click-through rates. You want to look at the website traffic. You want to look at the time on site. You want to start looking at the conversion rates, and then you want to start looking at the sales. Those are the KPIs that are actually going to get you to that place of that goal of $10,000 in a month, in 1 month, right? So you want to keep looking at those numbers to understand those KPIs to get to that place of, am I here at my goals? So it really helps you to better understand how you can make improvements to hit your revenue goals. So definitely pay attention to that, right? I think once you have a clear understanding of those KPIs too, you can identify the trends and then really make informed decisions. And that's where we want you to be with those KPIs, making those informed decisions.
I think about, as we're looking at those things, we have that revenue measure, but from a sales perspective, I think that's a great one. But then I also look at two other things too. What's what's going into my cart? Like, are people putting things into my cart? That's another metric to take a look at. And what's my cart abandonment? Are people putting there and then abandoning? And you talk to me often about time on site. Are they going to the places that you want them to go to? And how long are they staying there? As indications and metrics for us to look at to get to the place of achieving our goal. So as we're thinking through these things and looking at those two measurement points, think of those as well from a sales and revenue perspective. The revenue just doesn't go there, and we have that number, but there's other points as we're going through that are important for us to utilize and consider as an indicator, a key performance indicator that we're on the right track, or we might need to modify where we're going.
And it just brought to me just in this point that, the biggest difference we're looking at is the KPI is the movement of the metric. That's what it really is. So there's a KPI of getting to that goal, that $10,000 goal. I'm looking at a metric, but I'm looking to see, is the metric moving in the right direction? Is the time on site going up, or is it going down? I'm not looking at just time on site at one specific point of time. So that's how this really comes together. Look at the KPIs, mean the movement of your metrics.
Oh, I love that. The movement of your metrics. KPIs. Okay, we need to
Is there a song in there somewhere?
That's a soundtrack right there. The KPIs are the movement of your metrics. I really like that. So we should say that more often. I'm going to add that to my talk track. Watch and see. Okay, so next question. Which metrics should you not measure in digital marketing? I love this question. So here's the reality. The reality is that you should measure everything. You should measure everything you can measure. But what you want to do is you want to give weight to the metrics or to the KPIs that mean the most, right? So you don't want to get hung up on the KPIs that don't really inform your goals, right? So I'm going to break KPIs down into 3 categories. There are KPIs that show interest, right? So it shows that someone is interested in your product or service. So that could be a save, that could be a share. It's saying that, hey, they've taken another step to bookmark this. They want to come back to this. They believed in it so much that they shared it with their friends or their audience. The other thing is you want to look at intent metrics, right? So if someone gives you an email address, that's a metric of intent, or that's a KPI of intent. I am doing the mix up as we talk here. You also want to look at things like downloads. That shows a little bit more intention as well. And then you want to look at, and you can look at your vanity metrics or vanity KPIs like likes and follows. They tell a story as well, but they're not telling as much of a story as someone who's shown a little bit more intention by giving you their email address, right? That person is saying something more to you, that I'm interested in what you've said and I want to hear more from you. Here's my email address. Interest, a save or a share is saying, hey, there's something here that drew me in and I want to maybe hear more from you, but I want to keep this piece of content. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at the right things, but you want to measure everything, but you want to understand what holds more weight in your formula.
I do have one thing we should not measure, if I might say so, and I've said it several times here, is don't measure your feelings, because it has nothing to do with what we're involved in here. Your feelings do not matter. Do you feel about a metric or a KPI has zero relevance in this space, okay?
Please don't measure your feelings.
Don't measure your feelings. So whether or not you're feeling calm when you see a result or you exponentially get anxious, not part of this equation here. Go back to your numbers, speak with your Tamara and your Michael and your Michelle. We will bring you back to center, but don't measure your feelings in any of this, okay?
You caught me so off guard there. It was like, don't measure your feelings. But just going along this line, that measurement, it's measurement. We just keep saying it. You have to measure, you have to know what you're measuring. So this foundation, these first couple of points, just pressing on that point of, design your KPIs that make sense, right?
All right. So now this one is really important too, right? Because it's about how to interpret your KPIs to strategic recommendations. Because getting the numbers is cool, but then what? What do you do next? So you have to translate these into actionable insights so that it actually makes sense. So how do you do it, right? The numbers really should be telling a story. It's not just a number, right? What story is it telling? So it's important that you learn to interpret those KPIs into effective strategies for your business. So what you want to start doing is looking at the patterns over time, right? That movement Michael was talking about. Are your numbers increasing? Are they decreasing? Is there a seasonality? What are the things that you can identify where you need, improvement in the business and where you're doing really well? The other thing you want to do is you want to look at your industry KPIs. It's important for us as a business, no matter how small, big, whatever the case may be, we want to understand what's happening in the industry. Because if you understand what's happening in your industry, you can align yourself with those industry benchmarks to look to see, how am I performing against these industry benchmarks? Am I doing better? Am I doing worse than them? Is that a goal I can set for myself to say, hey, I want to increase to get to my business to that place of where the industry is? Are you meeting or exceeding expectations? And then what you want to do is you want to dig deeper into the data to really understand the things that are driving. What are the factors that are driving, right? If your customer retention rate, for instance, has decreased, is it due to poor customer service? So you still have to look back at the business. You can't just look at the KPIs. You can't just look at the numbers. You have to look back at the business. If customers are falling off, what's happening there? Is there a larger story that's happening? Is there a customer service issue? So these KPIs should really help you to inform the business and make strategic recommendations as to what you should do next. And that's something we do with our clients all the time, right? We spend time going through their KPIs, looking at the trends to then say, here's what we should do next. Here's what we should do next. And here's why we should do it next. Let's test this. Let's see what happens. And if that's the right move, we understand, okay, that's another step in the process that we've been able to optimize them to.
I often say in this space, when I'm talking to my clients, there's 3 things that you have to consider. And 2 of them are acronyms, and it's not grammatically correct, so just bear with me. One of them is ABC, always be closing. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, you're selling and you're always closing. But within that, because you know your metrics, you're all ABL, always be learning. Your benchmarks, you're always, especially when you're new into this business, beating yourself. You're starting at ground zero, so you're always trying to better what you've done the time before. You get to a point where you're getting to your numbers, if we set this up correctly so that we can get to your numbers and achieve it, but you need to understand how you're faring against the competition. And sometimes that is a reality check that's a bitter pill to swallow. You're just like, ooh, I thought I was doing well, but dang. And it makes you, do that a couple of times. So it's a great reality check and a good measurement for success for you to help to close that gap if there is one, or if you've exceeded, do you now have the ability to manage your business a bit differently, take a hit and slow down your business to raise your rates, perhaps test a different product, move your business a little forward, and manage into your metrics and possibly change your indicators to accommodate that. And really move your business forward and grow and learn a bit more. So I enjoy what you just walked through and looking at some of those benchmarks, because your recommendations may change based upon having a different place that you're measuring against, or multiple places, your previous goals that you've set for your business, and now how are you aligned with what's going on in the marketplace. So I really enjoy that, because it kind of level sets where you need to take your business, and again, keeps your tunnel visioned in the right way and focused in on the right path.
And just, of course, that measurement, I think what I wanted to add is, of course, that measurement is key to just knowing where your business is going. I know that's not where I wanted to go, but in my head, while Michelle was talking, I was getting the image of the mall, right? And you can measure how many people come to the mall. You can measure how many people stood up in front of your store, how many people walked in. So especially in digital, biggest challenge for small businesses has been seeing that result, or understanding how to see that result. And that's where this point really comes home for us, is that if I don't know what I'm tracking, I can't really measure the performance of my actions. And that goes back to that word, intentionality in your marketing, right? So if you're being intentional, then these metrics must inform where you're going next.
I love that, man. You guys are killing it today. What? Andrew's in the chat killing it too. Remember, stop feeling, start calculating, right? That's exactly where we should be. Stop feeling, start calculating. All right. So this is another good question too, right? What to do when your digital marketing KPIs are not met? All right.
Call tomorrow.
For sure. Number one, get me on speed dial. KPIs not met. Just dial that. We should get that. We should get that. We should get that URL. It doesn't exist. Okay. I am completely off track here. Let's rein it back in. Okay. So first and foremost, it's really important to identify the root cause of your KPIs not being met, right? This could be due to a lot of different factors, right? Maybe you're targeting the wrong audience. Maybe it's the wrong ad placement. Maybe you're on Twitter. No shade. Maybe there's an insufficient budget, right? Maybe you're not actually tracking the right data. So you need to start looking at the problem areas. Where are the issues? Now, taking our quiz, shameless plug, is going to help you get to that place really, really quickly. Sometimes the potential solution is to do an audit of your digital marketing strategy. And shameless plug again, this is exactly what we do with our clients. We take them through this process where we do an online assessment and review everything, right? All their online channels, what they're doing, where they're spending the most time, where they're seeing the most impact, really looking at those things to understand and tell a better story of how can they get to a place where they're actually meeting those metrics, those goals, and hitting the right KPIs. So if your KPIs are not being met, you need to stop, pause, and look to see because the KPIs tell the story, good or bad. So the other thing you want to do is when you have these KPIs, when you determine what those KPIs, you want to look at some indicators of success and failure within a specific time. If this doesn't happen in 2 weeks, if I don't see people clicking through, I then need to make an adjustment. If I see this happening, then I need to look at this thing. So you almost need to set a plan in place, almost like a backup plan, not a backup plan, but what are my next steps? What are the next steps that I take once I get information? And when will I take those steps, right? Because that allows you to optimize. Optimization is the key to getting to that place of making those KPIs work for you, getting to a place where you are getting to the goals through your KPIs and metrics.
And this absolutely ties back to what those industry standards were. So in case you're not sure if that KPI, if you're at the right spot or not, that's where the industry, looking against the industry, is going to tell you, are you above, are you below, are you on par, right? Because sometimes we may feel something's not working, but when we look at the industry, it's actually moving in time. And what we really need to just say is the time for the uptake instead.
What I love about what we're going through right now is that these are very familiar things in our world when we take our business, what we're doing in business, and apply the common sense that we have in our daily lives. This is nothing that we do is a set it and forget it kind of thing. We are saying, here's where we're going, and there's a pulse check at every point, or there's a point of measurement to say, yeah, I'm on the right track and where we're going, or here's my pivot plan, my detour plan in case something happens, or if there's a roadblock or something that's preventing me from moving forward, there's an alternate plan. And that's what we're saying here. Have an alternate plan, a point of revision. And it could be good as well. On the good side, you're outpacing the numbers that you put forward because it was a conservative number, or something that you put in place is moving along faster than anticipated. What's your pivot plan to escalate where you're going with this, to capitalize on where you're going? So just don't think of it being something bad. It could take off and perform well in your measurement against your competitive marketplace as well as your goal. You're exceeding your plan. So what's next? So those are always good things for you to look at to make sure that you're measuring and what's your backup. And I'm a backup person. What's my backup from my backup? Because, not performing well is not an option in this space. So what do you do to keep moving things forward in a positive fashion? So don't think that, that could be a bad indicator. It's what do I do when this is going much better than I anticipated? What else can I do to keep things moving forward?
Absolutely. And Michelle, this weekend while we were working, we talked a little bit about Lanyap Digital, and we talked about when we ran Google Ads, that gave us a baseline set of numbers to understand some things, right? We ran ads for Lanyap Digital for Profit Calculator. And what we recognize is that people were coming there with a different expectation. They were clicking, there was an interest there, but they were looking for something else. So they didn't spend a lot of time on site. So that allowed us to see, all right, cool. Maybe we need to take them through another process because there's something that they need. They want a profit calculator, but what do they need? Do they need a video? Do they need a guide on how to use it? There's some things that allowed us to see, we might need to put a few more steps in the process before just moving it from the ad to the product itself, right? So it gave us some information. So if the KPIs are not moving in the right direction, they're not being met, that's okay. It tells a story, good, bad, or indifferent. Take the story, remove the feelings from the story, and then build an action plan together. And I'm going to say it again, take the quiz, take the quiz, take the quiz. All right.
Well, what she's not saying is she's being kind because, there was some food and some other things involved, and she was kind enough to, tell me in a gentle way, really, Michelle, you need to do the video. That's the companion piece to the calculator so that people will really understand this. So she was, let us be real. She was kind. I did read into the, gave me my lanyard and my little something extra saying, Michelle, you need to do this piece.
So that's a great point, right? Because so what it said to me in the true data, it said that we need a point of people getting to know you and getting to be familiar with you, right? And we also need a point of they need a walk along with the calculator. So as much as people are, delving into digital and figuring things out, one of the biggest things they ask is frequently asked questions. How do I do X, Y, and Z, right? That's why we're building this show around answering some of these questions. How do we make sure that we're answering all their questions? We're giving them everything that they need. And that video will kind of guide them because you get to say in that video, this is for you. This is for this type of person, type of business. Here's how you use it. And then here's me walking through it with an example, because now they get to do that. And it takes me back to like childhood and always, comprehension, reading comprehension. There was always an example of something to pull it together for you, right? And it's just how people think and it's how they learn. So how do we incorporate those elements still in digital to give that true customer journey? They're all connected. So the metrics or those KPIs were telling us they're interested, they're searching for this, they come over. When they got there, it said they bounced because they didn't have enough to dig into. They didn't see what they wanted right away. They didn't see what they needed to go deeper. So if we add that element into it, we get to then test and see, hey, if they go a little bit deeper, then this means, yes, this was the right move. And then we can keep adding on and optimizing from there. So,
right. And as to tell you, to further validate what you're saying, the craziest thing of all of this is this calculator. One of the three that I use with my clients is something that I would have never done in my sessions with them without what we walk through it, and I watch the comprehension happen and watch those moments. So when Tamara talked me into commoditizing this, a product that I had that was in my service offering, and we went through it, my light bulb did not go off. It was, a point in time where my clients are telling me what they want. They're giving me the indicators of the next place that we need to go. And I was not understanding the metric that was coming from that so that I could move forward and get to that indicator. It was the craziest thing. And I do this for a living. So, we're doing this as well, guys. This is something that we are working in our daily lives as well. So join our party. We are learning from our own metrics as well.
100%, and one last thing to add to that is 9 times out of 10 times, what we're doing offline is what we need to translate into digital, right? So we need to look at what are those steps. So it's taking that process, if you're already successful offline, taking that process and analyzing it and working with an agency like a Monovan Digital or Lanyap Digital to say, hey, all right, how do we take this process that you have and move it into digital? It may require 5 or 6 more steps, but we understand that that's a process that works offline already. So how do you just move it into digital, right? It's as simple as that.
And I did one of those for all of you that are having the same feel, I put a feeling in it and I was like, one of those sounds like really, but the answer is yes, because I do it on a daily basis when I'm working with my clients. So naturally it will translate for a self-serve thing or for someone to understand and to be able to not be intimidated or feel like this was just one more thing that they had to work their way through. Here's an easy companion to help you to walk through it quickly without an issue.
Yep, 100%. All right, Mike, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. We just had like a little back and forth without you.
Oh, no, that's all right. That's all right. We can keep it moving. All right. There's just so much to talk about when we're talking KPIs. We knew that coming into this month.
For sure. All right. Now, the other thing that's important as a business, as a CFO, CMO, CEO, everyone that we're talking to when you're running your small business, is what are the dashboards? How do you really track those KPIs consistently, right? Because firstly, the KPIs are probably new to you if you're not in marketing all the time. And so how do you track them in a space that actually makes sense, right? Or where you can get to that consistently. So one place you can do that is actually Google Analytics. We recommend if you have a website, if you have a sales funnel, if you have anything web related that allows you to put in a Google Analytics code, you put that code in there and you go to your dashboard and you start understanding those KPIs that show up because it starts to tell the story. And then you can isolate and say, these are the KPIs I want to see. This is where I want to build my dashboard. You can work with an agency like us to help you build out a dashboard, a place that you can go to every day to say, okay, is my traffic up? Great. Are my emails up? Great. Okay, my emails are down. What's happening? What happened in the last 2 days? You know what I mean? Is my revenue up? Is this happening? Is this happening? Is this not happening? So you can look at those dashboards and you can look at the KPIs that matter to you. In an earlier example, we talked about that $10,000, right? to get to that 10K, what are the things you're looking at? You might be looking at your click-through rate. You might be looking at that time on site. Those specific KPIs could be in that space. You could even dig a little bit deeper and say, hey, time on site, I want to understand what days are they showing up along with the amount of time that they're spending on the site. What's the preferred day? What are the days that I'm making the most sales? You want to start looking at all those things in a dashboard that makes sense. So you're not looking at all the KPIs that you're tracking, but you're looking at those KPIs that track towards the goal. And then that's the place that you can really look and say, hey, there's things are down here, things decreased here, and ask questions. What happened? Why? And it gives you a really good picture. And as a business owner, right, it's important for you to understand the digital marketing KPIs that matter for your business. It can be a lot to learn, but you cannot allow the agency to just do it on their own. You must understand what's the path. What is that path to getting me to that money in the bank? What is that path? Because you're spending money. So you also have to connect the ROI back to it, right? So you're spending money to make it happen. So it's important that you understand tools like Google Analytics and understand those preferred KPIs that you should be looking at every day to understand if you're performing in the right direction.
I don't disagree at all. I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, as you talked about dashboards and good dashboards, think of your car, right? Think of that, what's in front of you, the information that's presented. Everything that's presented is important, but obviously while you're driving, certain information is more important than other information. So what's largest on your dashboard? How fast you're going. What's next largest? How's the engine doing? But then you have some smaller metrics. What's the temperature of the engine, which you can look at when you're sitting still, right? So dashboards really are made, you want to spend that time to make sure that your dashboard is set up correctly. As Damara said, you're tracking the right things, because there are all these metrics, all these data points we could track, but you want at a glance to be able to say, okay, where's this data point moved? Because this is most relevant to me achieving my goal.
Michael, that was the perfect description of it. And as you were saying that,
Don't say that. Tomorrow's going to make me do a short.
But what I love about it is because there's always a manual as well. There's a manual to give you the information that you need as you're moving along when you see something new, or when your brain has become accustomed and accepting, and you are interpreting what is there, and you're ready for the next thing. You can baby step into the information when you see something new or something goes on. You're never in this alone. There is a manual or people to help you to move along in this. So it is imperative that you take the time and invest over the course of time. This is not, you're not going for a doctoral degree or anything of that nature. It is like literally, we have these little 10-second, minute sessions where you come through and learn it. But learn it because this is your money. This is the way that your business earns, that end $10,000 goal, but you're gradually getting into it. And are you on the right track? And the Google Analytics, there's a lot of information there, but you don't have to absorb it all at the same time. You can learn it in the way that you need to and in a digestible fashion. So get into it. It's not a foreign language. It really isn't.
And definitely something to look for from your agency to help you with.
Absolutely. And, the dashboard, you're absolutely right. You should so do a short on that, or just give me the words to do it. I got you. He's short resistant right now. Michael,
anyway. You may now assign something to her instead of vice versa. I think we're onto something here.
Perfect example. My dashboard means everything to me in my car, because I'm not really good with cars. So when the lights pop on, I'm like, oh, I need gas. Oh, I need an oil change. Oh, so that's like exactly, if I didn't have that dashboard, I don't know what would happen. So that's exactly what you have. It's a dashboard that gives you the alerts. The lights pop on when you know the KPIs that really need to be up front. Those lights pop on for you. The gas light pops on, the check engine light pops on, the things that say, hey, I need to do these things. So I'm not really into cars, but I love the analogy and I want to tie it into a car somehow. And I see a visual in my mind now of a dashboard in a car with lights beeping, and get me a designer.
We'll work it out.
We got you.
But it's the
Yes.
information you need on your journey, right? So your goal is where you're going to. Your dashboard is where you're going to look at those KPIs that help you get there, right? So yeah, I might have to work up something on that.
Yeah, we will have to work something on that.
I think so.
Right. No, guys, this was such a great conversation. And today we were talking about measuring online success, right? Essential metrics and KPIs for small business digital marketing. They are important for your business. You must use them in order to understand how are you performing? Is it working? Is it not working? Right. So guys, this was a really, really good show. I'm so excited that we were here. Andrea, thanks for joining us in the comments. Final thoughts on KPIs.
It's an investment in your business. They are not overwhelming, and we are here to help you.
Ditto.
Love that. All right. So before we head out, we want to do a few things. Connect with us. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on LinkedIn. Follow us. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. We're everywhere now, guys. Check us out there. And definitely, we want you to also take the quiz. Take the kids quiz. Scan the QR code. If you are listening to us on the podcast, there's a link in the show notes so that you can take the quiz. Take the quiz and test the effectiveness of your online presence. Is your online presence working for you? Are you measuring the right KPIs? Are you looking at the right metrics to help you tell the story? That's so important for your business. It's so important for your business, especially in digital. Hopefully this conversation today helped you to wrap your mind around KPIs a little bit and metrics and get you to that place where you understand a little bit more of what you need to move the business forward. So we'll be here on Wednesday. We have an awesome guest coming to share some great information about CRMs. Lyndon Bradford from Trinidad is going to be here with us. So super excited to have him. He is a HubSpot partner and expert, and Michael is going to nerd out. It is CRMs all day, but we want to talk about the importance of them for your business. We talked about them on a high level the other day, and this goes a little bit deeper because he does this all the time. So we're really excited for that conversation on Wednesday. So Andrea, can't wait for you to be back. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care. Bye.